So in chapter 3, I mean, I would say ultimately what I was trying to convey, if you really boil it down, is that there are a couple of fundamental beliefs that would hope that you walk away with from reading not just the chapters but the book. Number one is that your relationships, people are your greatest asset. You're your greatest asset first, and then subsequently, it's understanding how other people are assets as well, and how to incorporate that into your overall strategy when it comes to your finances. And the second thing is to really be clear about the results that you want. And this all comes from experience. I've met with hundreds of people. My team has met with thousands of people, and seldom do I find someone who is really clear about the outcome that they want. And so this idea of retirement is a word, but for most people it's a generality. And so getting clear about what you really want for your life, what do you want for your profession, how do you want to feel, what type of money do you want to make, what type of situation do you want to be in? What type of neighborhood do you want to live in? It's getting clear about these results and then subsequently reverse engineering, what it's going to take to do that. And you may not know exactly how that's going to happen. At the same time, the first step is to become clear about where you're going. So, I think chapter 3 was difficult because I could have just gone out guns a blazing and just bombarded you with lots of information and spreadsheets and numbers. And I did this in the beginning. I learned early on with my mentors who I mentioned in the book, Todd Langford and Kim Butler, and I went down to Houston, Texas, a number of times. And and the reason why I did that, it was a calculator training. The software program itself is called Truth Concepts, and I went down there so often. I mean, I think the most I went was like four times in 1 year, and I went for multiple years in a row. And I went there because of how challenged I was in 2008 and 2009 because I saw everything come crashing down. I saw so many investments fail. I saw people lose their jobs. I saw relationships end. It wasn't just heartbreaking for me because of what I went through, but it was heartbreaking because I was providing advice during that time. I was talking to people and experiencing what they were going through, just magnified the problem. So I had this I don't know what it was. It was this disdain for any financial advice, and I included mine in there. I questioned everything that I did, and I provided as advice. And so going to this training really helped me to objectively measure what a financial claim was, how it worked, what the claim was, what the outcome was, and to see if it was true or not. And I went down there over and over and over and over and really built into myself a confidence about the advice that we give, the strategies that we recommend. But I had to go through a tremendous amount of adversity, and I would say just a journey to believe in myself again, to believe in the advice that I was giving people. And I did it from an objective standpoint. Now, I do go through lots of like illustrations and snapshots and so forth in the book, and I provide more details in the study guide. Which, if you're now reading through the book, hopefully you've registered for the study guide and have watched some videos. If you're intrigued by some of the claims that I'm making, but I really wanted to make the chapter simple so that you would understand what my philosophy was, what my perspective was, that it's crystal clear, so that you can start to contrast that against what the typical financial planner will tell you. And once you start to see that contrast, then I believe you will look at some of the illustrations, some of the claims that I'm making, and then you'll get an idea of whether uh, you do potentially have a belief that you have not called into question before, so that you can open up your mind and be able to see, okay, which is true? Is Patrick, is what I'm saying true? Is what the claim of a financial advisor, financial planner is saying regarding market returns or qualified plans? And this is the best way to do this, that, and the other. I want you to really start to question that, but you have to have the contrast first, the polarity. So, chapter 3 is, essentially designed to open up your mind, open up that perspective so that as I get into the following chapters, that I start talking about the different strategies and products that we use, that you're able to weigh them and determine what relevance what I have to say has with regards to your situation, and then what you're currently doing has to do with your current situation and what you really want. And I'm gonna mention just one thing. A few and I'm recording all of this about a year, or a little over a year after the book was released. And I've had I've had great experiences, but I'm a fan of documentaries. I love documentaries. I find them fascinating, and it's this like kind of new phenomenon where it's very easy to make a documentary. But there's one that's called Behind the Curve, and Behind the Curve is about a movement with those that believe that the Earth is flat. And I know it sounds kind of crazy, but there are millions of people that are part of this movement. And the documentary, which I encourage you to listen to, it isn't done by those that are part of this group. It's done by someone that is observing the group and also observing, the astrophysicists that have proven time and time again that the earth is round. But nonetheless, this group has such a strong belief in regards to what the perception is. There's a scene where he's looking out across this distance and seeing Seattle in the distance, and he's like, see, it's flat. And it's interesting where the documentary goes through how these people reinforce these beliefs together, and I'm not going to spoil the documentary for you, okay? But there is evidence that comes about by them doing experiments, and by them doing those experiments, you would think that they'd be like, oh yeah, okay, it's there's curvature, it's round, but they don't, and that is what's interesting about the human being, is that we feel so strongly about something, and one of our greatest fears is being wrong. And I'm not here to tell you that you're wrong. I'm here to, I would say, provide guidance, be that guide, walk alongside of you, so that you can live a more fulfilling life, with which does have to do with your finances. And I do believe that's possible because I've seen that over and over. And I don't know what your situation is. I don't know if you are already financially free. I don't know if you've struggled your entire life with finances, but I'm hoping by now, if you've gotten this far and you're reading the book, that your mind is at least open to new possibilities. So let's go on to chapter 4.